Hi everyone, welcome to the 40th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Zayaks, and today I'm joined by Entertainment Enthusiast JJ Tafuto.
Thank you.
And I'd like to shout out episode 31 guest Liam Chen for TDing once again. So of course, JJ, you know what the Zicast is,
I'm
right?
familiar.
Interview my friends and get to know them on a deeper level. And of course, Oi.
Oi.
And I say that because my shirts are very Billy Butcher themed, the ones that I thrifted back in LA, which I think is interesting because a lot of people I know and the internet believes I look like Homelander. So I look like Homelander, but I wear Billy Butcher clothes. I also think it's interesting because you kind of look like the Deep in a lot of ways.
Are you bringing this up because somebody told you to? Or are you just saying this?
I'm kind of saying it because I noticed it before. Like the jawline, you kind of look like the Deep.
Yeah, people have said that to me.
Your reaction to hearing that is like my reaction to hearing I look like Homelander. And I think that's fitting because here in the Zicast, I want to go deeper and learn more about you. So with that said, JJ, how about we get into things?
Yeah, let's do it.
I had that planned all day.
That was crazy.
I had that planned
that was crazy.
all day. I was sitting at work. I'm like, what's the best way to do the intro for this show? It was that.
Nice.
Yeah. So JJ, tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh yeah. I'm JJ Tafuto. If I do my icebreakers now. I'm a 3+1 FTM major. That's my third year. I'm also entertainment director of Q30. I like movies, being an FTM major. Yeah.
And where are you from?
Oh, good one. I'm from Woodbridge, Connecticut, so it's pretty close to here. It's like 20 minutes away.
Awesome. I'm also a fellow Connecticutter.
Is that what we call ourselves?
There's also Nutmegger.
Oh.
That's another one. I prefer Connecticutter.
I've always said Connecticutian.
Connecticutian?
Yeah.
That might be the peak one. Okay, that might be the best one. But now I want to start things off by asking you quite the loaded question, which is how does it feel to be loved and adored by everyone who knows you?
What a question. Well, you're saying this because my directing class and your acting class combined last year.
Yes.
And my directing professor is Professor Rob Cohen.
Yes.
And I think it was like us and I think Sam Shaw. And Sam Shaw was doing her thing of being like the nicest person at the school and being like, oh, JJ, like everybody loves you and everything. And Rob Cohen overhears this and he's like, how does it feel to be loved and adored by everyone? Because I've never felt that. Yeah. I don't even know how to answer that. It's I don't know, because I'm going to look like a dick now if I like.
Well. But I mean that's a question that's not really meant that's very loaded. It's kind of very fitting because my previous guest was Sam Shaw on here, and It feels very fitting because you both kind of have that same energy, which is fitting. You bring her up in that class because you both have that very likable quality, and I also think it's because I told her a similar thing. You're very adaptable. Like I feel like I could put you in a conversation with anybody and you could get along with them. Which I think is vital for professionalism too.
Yeah.
Because kind of like what I told her, you don't have to like everyone, but you have to get along with everyone. And I think that's essential to kind of what you both have done in Q32 with you now being the entertainment director.
Yeah. That's actually kind of my thing. Like I kind of usually stay unproblematic when it comes to people. Like the thing is nothing really bothers me or ticks me off. So it's like if we get along, then we get along and it's good. And nobody really does stuff that really angers me or anything. And because if it's also somebody who I don't really know, then what they do is not going to make me mad because I don't know you. I don't care what you do. So yeah, it's kind of how I just live.
Yeah, I think that's a great philosophy. I kind of like it to care about the people you care about.
Exactly.
But I am curious, what does make you angry?
I have a great story for that, actually.
Okay.
It happened recently. So Michael Rada, Alex Bean, and Sean Vukovic, they got me a cardboard cut, Transformers 1 cardboard cutout poster that you find a movie theater, this huge thing. And so they I guess they put their name on the list or whatever, and then the movie theater called them and they gave it to me. And so they bring it in, and I'm really happy because this is really cool. I'm a very big Transformers fan. And so then I'm happy for about 3 hours, and then with this Transformers thing, and then Ben Rickovicius comes home. One of my suite mates, Ben Rickovicius, sports director of Q30, Ben Rickovicius. He he comes back and he sees it, and he's like, oh wow, this is cool. Like, and like he's with Nick Boyd too. Nick Boyd's like, wow, this is awesome, because of course it is. It's a Transformers poster.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who else would think it's stupid? That's crazy. So then we have Nick Wapia's gavel, because Nick Wapia just has gavels. So we have it in our suite because I think they need it for like a bit during Bobcat Game Day. So we have the gavel, and Ben's like tapping it with the gavel, and he taps a little too hard and hits Megatron's head on the poster, and I was mad. I think that was probably the maddest I've been at this school, probably, honestly, because I got this thing 3 hours ago and it was a very cool gift, and then Megatron's head was broken. But we were able to fix it with tape and stuff, so like it doesn't look bad. And it's fine. Like, I've forgiven Ben and everything. We're on good terms. But yeah, no, that was the time I was mad. But like, I guess how Nick Boyd explained to me after the fact was like I was still being like kind of like not like I was being reserved about it, and that was what scared him. That was just kind of like, I was like, dude. And like I kind of just like went to my room. I went to go pout by myself in my room on my bed.
You were boiling. You were kind of boiling. It was reaching the surface.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's interesting. It was Megatron. It's like the villain origin story, like in the movie.
Yeah, literally.
It's like a meta moment that he hit Megatron's head. And I remembered, because I was with Michael Rada and Alex Bean when they when they went to buy that poster, and they were like, we're gonna get this for JJ. It's gonna be a great gift. I'm like, oh, it's awesome, because I know how much you like Transformers. Yeah. And then I saw the picture of it in your suite. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like. We finished the story.
The arc is over.
Yeah, the arc. We completed the arc.
It's like an act 2 when things start looking good, and then we get to the point of no return.
The point of no return. Fenric is smashing out Megatron's head, and then it's kind of funny, and like in that sense, thinking about Transformers 1, you and Ben, it was like Optimus Prime and Megatron.
Yeah, at that time we were just Orion Pax and D16, but now we're Optimus and Megatron.
Exactly. You parted ways, and now there has to be another clash.
Yeah, I got the Matrix of Leadership, the whole shebang.
Exactly. That movie does go hard.
It goes really hard.
Yeah,
it's such a good movie.
Like, I saw it in theaters, and I have to admit, by the marketing, I did not think it was going to be very good. Yeah, it looked like very direct to DVD animated special, and I went to see it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Yeah, no,
it blew my expectations away too, because I saw the first trailer. I'm like, okay, it's like an Illumination movie. It kind of felt like to me, it felt like an Illumination movie. But yeah, no, it goes crazy.
It does. And now, if you thought the first question was hard to answer, here's the second one. I want to ask you about your ability to be so relatable and friendly.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes into just being unproblematic with people. Like I don't get involved in any drama and stuff. It's kind of like Ron Swanson. You ever see Parks and Rec?
I know of Parks and Rec, so I get what you mean.
So there's this bit where Ron Swanson is like, I stay at people's problems because I just don't care, and so like I keep my head down and I just stay quiet, and that's kind of what I do. Also like just kind of like being friendly with people. Like a part of it is just kind of like also just being myself. I think I figured this out in college, because in high school I kind of like kept my head down and was pretty reserved and stuff. Like I had my friends, and that was like the people who I surrounded myself with. And then that was kind of like my freshman year of college too. But as we got into like sophomore year, now my junior year, or I guess like technically my senior year because of 3+1. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever that.
It's all twisted,
third year as we call it at Quinnipiac.
Yes.
I kind of just like opened up a lot more in just being myself, and I think people like authenticity. Like I think that's a thing about Q30, is that people there are very professional, and like they take it very very by the book, and I don't really do that. Like I mean not like I'm professional and everything, and but it's also like it's I have fun with it. Like I just kind of be myself, and I'm not like I don't try and put on like a face for the sake of putting on a face for it. Like I feel like I just want to be myself and like be like, hey, Like, let's have some fun.
Yeah, I very much relate to that on a lot of levels. Like, going back to high school, I was very quiet and reserved too, and now I have a fascinating digital footprint of making ridiculous videos on the internet and saying ridiculous things on the internet.
You were on Bad Friends.
I was on Bad Friends. It's almost like you're bad friends. Like
me and Ben Rickovicius.
Exactly. Yeah, Ben Rickovicius is a bad friend.
No, he's great. I love him.
I didn't even make that correlation.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll have him on here someday to give his side of the story, because everyone has a story.
There are 3 sides to every story.
Exactly. There's Megatron's side as well. But especially what you said about Q30, I very much understand, because of course we're here, to learn and to grow. Yeah. But I remember something Paige Vizella said on here, is that we're kind of like kids doing playtime.
Exactly.
So to kind of always keep that in mind with our time here in Q30, is that, which is of course Quinnipiac's TV station. I always like to preface it for those who don't know, is that we're just, we're here to learn and we're here to have fun. And I'm very unorthodox in my own right in the way that I do things. So I hope that that can help inspire people to have some fun. As John Cena once said, enjoy your life for 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And moving onwards, I'd like to ask you about where your interest in comics and film stems from.
That's good. That's a good question. When it comes, because I guess films was first. So with films, I guess it was just like, I just had so many, I don't know how I got them, but I just had so many DVDs as a kid. I had this little DVD player, and I would just watch, I would watch Star Wars so many times, over and over and over again. I would watch Transformers so many. I would just have, these couple movies on DVD that I would watch literally every single night. That's why I have Transformers memorized, basically. It's Pixar, all these things, that I've just kind of grown up watching. And then it wasn't until, I think I saw Clerks by Kevin Smith. That kind of made me realize, I want to do this, because I like the story behind Clerks. I was Kevin Smith, he didn't go to film school, I don't think. I don't think so, but don't quote me on that. But he just kind of had his buddies and a very low budget, and they made Clerks, which is a great movie, and now Kevin Smith is huge. So I like that story and everything. So that's kind of where films stem from, and then also just the fact for films to take you to another place, it makes you feel something. It's just an escape, and it's entertainment, which is what I like. I like films that also have are meant to teach you something and has something to say, which the best films have something to say, but the ones that also kind of just transport you into this other place, which is why I like stuff like Lord of the Rings and stuff, is it's some of my favorite stuff, and especially, I feel I feel more from watching a movie than I do in real life. Honestly, it's kind of like Ben in Community, where he's I get my emotion from movies and TV, which is something I've kind of related to.
Real life can be pretty mundane. Yeah. So I get what you mean, and that's a great poll, Clerks. And I'm always amazed by how many great filmmakers didn't go to film school.
Yeah, Tarantino.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a great sign that everyone's different and everyone learns in their own ways, and just because they didn't do it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Yeah. But that doesn't mean, it does, just because it works. What works for someone might not work for someone else. There's different ways to bake a cake. And I want to go back to you talking about kind of comedy characters, because you compared yourself to Ron Swanson, but you give very Jim Halpert.
Really?
To me, yeah.
You're Jim Halpert? And The Deep, apparently.
And The Deep. I'm you're kind of combining Jim Halpert and a Disney prince and putting them in one. That's
Disney
JJ
prince?
Tafuto. You do have that Disney prince look and
thanks.
aura. And you combine that with the Jim Halpert. If you just started facing the camera, that camera. Yeah. If you just hit that face to that, in just regular real life, I wouldn't be surprised. That's one thing, especially with the second question. If people are somebody says something weird, you'll look at me. Yeah. When we sync up that way. I notice you do that with other people. That's very Jim Halpert.
Yeah, you're right. I do that a lot, actually, where I just kind of because I honestly am not much of a talker and stuff, and people have noticed this about me, and have told me this. That I'm just sometimes when I talk a lot, they're I have never even not even a lot, maybe a couple sentences, I've never heard this much from you. So it's a lot. I'm just kind of sitting back and taking everything in, and like so I'll hear like MKF say something, and like maybe people don't catch it, but then I'm like. And like I look around in the room, see if anybody else heard it. So sometimes it's you, and I'm like, get a load of this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Get a load of this guy.
Yeah, like it's just funny things that just kind of like happen. I like reacting to.
Exactly. Is that why Grace Parisi likes you so much?
Yeah, Grace and I have had these moments of like just locking eyes when something like nobody else catches, and it happens. Which is it's fun to have like. Not just her, but like just anybody that just is in the room that I can like turn to, and like we both kind of like we get it what just happened
at the same time.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, of course, Grace was a former guest on here. She's brought up a lot. She's a legend.
Oh yeah.
And you married her on Quinnipiac tonight. Yeah. Tell me a bit about that experience.
So that's something I would have never done that in high school. Like gone up on that stage and like gotten like did this marriage thing. So yeah, that's like another example of me like coming out of my shell a lot. Cause like I was terrified to even like go up in front of a class of like 15 people and like read like an essay, that we have to like an oral thing or whatever. So to go up there and like do that was crazy.
Yeah, like take me through like being on stage with Grace.
Yeah. Yeah, no. When those stuff happen where it's like a lot of people are looking at me and like I'm like doing this thing, I kind of like completely black out during the moment and like I don't remember it until like I like when I like rewatched the wedding, I was like, oh yeah, this happened, like because I when I'm up there, like it's just I think like my brain goes to sleep and like my body just takes over and it just like happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was fun. Because I think the vows I read like as they were given to me, because Grace wrote the vows and everything. Like she writes everything on the show.
Yeah.
So like I was reading them and like, oh, this is funny. Like I'm like kind of laughing to myself. I'm like, wow, she wrote this. Yeah, and then we got married. Which
was something.
It was just something.
Yeah. Have you been in contact with Grace since then?
Yeah. We talk sometimes. I over the summer I helped them film their CPM capstone.
Yeah. With Ben Wallen, right?
Ben Wallen.
Ballin' with Wallen.
I love Ben Wallen. Yeah, he played Grace's boyfriend in that film.
Yeah, because I remember I went to her script reading, and it's funny that Ben Wallen played the boyfriend.
Yeah.
I feel like he could bring that energy.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, that's a classic Ben Wallen role.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, you came out of your shell in college. Like, what do you think really set you up for that?
That's a good question. I think because I was starting to get there during my senior year of high school. I think it's just I honestly have just been going into like these extracurriculars that because I'm as I said, I'm like an introvert. I'm very quiet. But like all like the extracurriculars I do are even like my major. It's I'm in communications. So it's like these things that like a lot of it is just me like talking and like selling myself to people.
Pause.
Hold on. Like you know what I'm saying? Like kind of like showing people who I am. Like in high school I did this like kind of like this basically this debate club. But it's like it was like a countrywide debate club where it's like we interact with like all these other schools on the country and whatever. I can't say I really did much debating because it was mostly me hanging out with my friends, but even still like being in that like public speaking setting definitely helped me a lot with that stuff. And coming into college and then being in communications, and there's a lot of like talking to people, presenting and all that, and then of course Q30. So yeah, I think it's just I've been conditioning myself to open up.
I can't imagine you in the debate club. Like just being in the debate, you'd be like, okay, you're right, bro, and just moving on. Like I feel like were you ever in like a debate?
So there's like the serious debates, and I didn't touch that.
Yeah.
But there's some of them was like kind of like funny debates, so I would go into that. Like there was one that was like, kids like shouldn't be legally obligated to go to school after 8th grade. And then I went up there and I just did this whole argument about how if I wanted my kid to be a farmer, he shouldn't have to go to school at all. Like I don't know. So I kind of that's just stuff like I just ramble about.
So kind of like mock debates, so to speak.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like, do you think your suite mates helped to bring you out of your shell? Because you do live with some characters.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I live with all characters. I mean, Jeff Fish,
Yes.
Ben Rickovicius, Aaron Epstein, Nick Boyd, even like my roommate Lucas, who we're very alike in that regard. But even but yeah, living with like especially because they're like Ben and Nick are journalism, so they're all about getting in your face and like talking to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, being friends with them definitely opened up because Ben Rickovicius just says a lot of things.
Oh yes, as we know.
Yeah. So him just saying all these things kind of like makes everybody else more comfortable, I think. And so I think he maybe like doing that also just puts me in this perpetual state of comfortableness because it's like whoever I am is not what he is.
So he like draws the line, so to speak.
Exactly. So it's like, so he makes it better for everybody. By being him, which I love him for that.
Exactly. You have like different kinds of characters in that room, and like Jeff Fish is kind of like the character, as we know.
Yeah. Actually, Jeff, Aaron and I mostly have been watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Jeff also likes the show, and so sometimes he'll sit in and watch. And there's this episode where it's like Dennis, Mac, and Charlie, who are like the main characters on the show, are like filling themselves in roles, like one's the looks, one's the brains, and one's the muscle, one's the wild card. So we were like, guys, who are we? And then so I think like we decided Aaron was the brains, Jeff was the wild card because that man is so unpredictable in anything he's ever gonna do ever. And then they assigned me as the looks, which whatever they can, it's up to them.
I'll accept it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, quite the squad.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and of course Nick Boyd is the muscle with the arms.
Oh yeah, I think it's interesting because something we talked about. Jeff Fish is always giving me like Paul Rudd energy.
I can see that.
Like very Ant-Man.
Yeah, I think we've assigned him as because we've all been kind of talking about like what superhero are we all? I think we told Jeff Fish that he's probably Ant-Man.
Yeah, he gives that. Like when I first met him, I'm like, he reminds me of Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
So that very much fits. And kind of circling back to comics, something you and I talked about right before we started this is you would be interested in starting a comics podcast.
I mean, I would love to talk about comic books. It's like one of my favorite things. So like, I think I started probably. I've always like kind of because with comic books it's like the release dates are all out of whack. It's like you got to go like every Wednesday, every other Wednesday, every other month to like get like the series you're following. So it's like when I'm young and like I can't drive myself to these places. Like it's not something I could really like keep up. So like sometimes my mom would like be like, hey, you want to like go to a comic store? I'm like, yes. And so I would like buy like all these different things, and then I would read like these one issues, and then I would never like get conclusions on that.
Yeah.
But I think when I like I really started getting into comic books, I think maybe in 7th or 8th grade. I read The Button, which is a Batman and Flash story. It's like kind of starting when this was like a big thing at the time. But it starts when like the Watchmen characters cross over with DC. That was like a very big event at the time. It's like Dr. Manhattan like merges like all the stuff. I don't know. So it like that was like the first like part of that story, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But then of course I never really got much into DC books, and I became a big Marvel guy. So then like especially when I got my car, I drove like every week to the comic book store to read like Spider-Man and Daredevil and Moon Knight. And then eventually, like I read. My biggest thing was reading like the main Marvel universe from like the early 2000s up until 2015. So like all the Avengers books at that time, basically, which is like kind of honestly what a lot of the movies take inspiration from, because you got like you got stories like Secret Invasion, Secret Wars. I'm sounding like a real nerd right now.
No, don't worry about it. I'm locked in.
Yeah, yeah. Secret Invasion, Secret Wars, Civil War, all these things. Dark Avengers, which I think they're doing with Thunderbolts. But yeah, so it's fun because comic books are a really cool medium that they've been around for like I don't know for probably like a century by now around there. I mean because like with Captain America and like during World War II and everything, so close. So like I think Marvel actually just hit 85 years. So yeah, just the fact that like they've had like this one story going on for 85 years. Especially Marvel, because DC reboots their universes a lot, but Marvel stays like the same. So that's just really cool to me. So yeah, I would, just because I'm kind of the person I know that like really reads these comic books like heavily, I would just love to, because I just want to talk about him,
Mm.
So that's why I would want to start a podcast about it. But like I feel like I'm too boring to do it by myself, so I would want somebody with me to like bounce off of. But the problem is that like I don't really know anybody else who would be that for me. But then you brought up a great idea.
Yeah, I was saying is that with podcasts, host dynamics don't have to necessarily be like one to one. Like it's really like how they contrast each other. Like Fish and Rod, like Jet
Yeah.
Fish and Michael Rada. Like Michael Rada is very quirky. Jet Fish is like straight manish, but he's very unpredictable. So you get that like channeling of energies, and I feel like you going on with someone who might be more expressive but knows less about comic books could very much like cancel that out, or channel that, I
Yeah.
should say, to create a fun dynamic. And I think that's really interesting that you're like an avid comic book reader in today's day and age, which is
Yeah.
very rare.
Yeah.
It's something I appreciate because I wish I kept up with comics because then I could be like, I have like authority. Like, I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
That movie's coming out, I know.
They're putting the Sentry in Thunderbolts. Oh, I know about the Sentry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love them. Especially I've learned that they keep stories into like these huge books, like in like very big collected editions. So it's not like these little small pages that you have to keep like reading and getting up stacks of. They collect all these stories in just one huge, like they're called omnibuses. In these one huge.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Omnibuses.
Yeah. Omnibus. Yeah. So I have a ton of Spider-Man omnibuses because Spider-Man's like my favorite fictional character, along with like Optimus Prime. Like two of them just kind of just flip flop all the time based on the most recent thing I've seen with them. So yeah, I've gone so much, I guess, knowledge on like these characters from these huge omnibuses that Marvel keeps putting out. So yeah, because like you can also for much cheaper read these things digitally.
Yeah. It's not the same.
Yeah, like they have like comic book streaming services basically. Like Marvel has like it's called Marvel Unlimited, where it's like you pay like a monthly fee or whatever, and then you get their entire library of stuff, except like up to like 3 months ago, because they want you to buy the stuff in stores, so like they have like a 3-month gap or something. But I just can't read them digitally. Like you gotta appreciate like the art on like the page and everything, and like physically like going through it. So it's very expensive. But
I bet, yeah.
But no, I love it, and I love just looking at my shelf of all these different books I have.
Yeah.
So,
Great memories. I know Nightwing is your phone's wallpaper, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
right.
Let's
make
show
sure I
it
don't
to
have any
people.
notifications on it. Let me just skip
Very.
that. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is a
yeah.
This has been my phone background for a couple years now.
Yeah.
It's it was a cover, I think, of the most recent Nightwing run that's currently going on right now. Written by Tom Taylor and drawn by Bruno Redondo, I think his name is. So yeah, it's just Nightwing and Barbara Gordon like hanging on a building overlooking the city, and I just really liked it. I also really like that Nightwing run. Nightwing is my favorite DC character.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You give Nightwing a lot, I would say.
Ryan Zayek, you're doing so good right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, Nightwing's always a character I've always enjoyed, just the way that I always think of Batman the Animated Series when I think of a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
'Cause that's like that and the Arkham games
Of
are my
course.
frameworks, because I was a huge Batman kid.
Yeah.
I'm still a huge Batman kid. So like I always like the contrast of like Dick Grayson leaving Bruce Wayne and like becoming his own hero.
Better version of Batman.
Exactly. And he's better than me.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing, like trying to be like Batman but being different because of just how complex Batman is, and like the fact that he's a great father and a terrible one at the same time.
Yeah.
And he's a great person and a bad person at the same time. That's why I think Batman, I believe Batman's the greatest superhero. You will disagree.
I will say Spider-Man.
Maybe we can have that debate right now for some great content. But I would say, yeah, I that's why I think Batman's at least the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you have something to say in that regard.
I just feel like with Spider-Man, it's, the most relatable super. No, it's like, with Spider-Man, it's
because he's broke.
Exactly, because he's broke and he has no job. And, yeah. No. I just like the story of Spider-Man a lot. That it's like he just feels like this is something he has to do because great power comes. Like he has this power and he has to use it to save people. And even if he saves one person, he made a difference. And then also with like this is more of like a Marvel character thing in general, because I do like Marvel a lot better than DC. I will admit.
I would say especially in media, they've done better job representing all of their heroes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would concur in that regard.
Yeah. So with all Marvel heroes, it's kind of like, yeah, they're superheroes and everything, but they're also people. Like they're normal people. Like with Spider-Man, you get a lot of like his relationships and like his jobs and stuff. And with DC, it's like, actually, here's a good way to put it. With Marvel, it's like regular people with the power of gods, and then with DC, it's the gods with the power of people. Yeah. So, or yeah, gods trying to be more human or whatever. So I just like that dynamic with Marvel characters, especially Spider-Man, because I just love him so much. I love all of his stories. Yeah, like it's my comfort thing. Like when I like if I'm like feeling like down or whatever, I go and read like a J. Michael Straczynski Spider-Man run, you know, or Ultimate Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely more optimistic.
Yes.
Than Batman. Do you have any other favorite comic book runs you want to share?
Ooh, runs. All right. Thank you for putting me on this. Yeah. Again, by Brian Michael Bendis, his New Avengers run, I think, is my favorite comic book run ever. I just love that team. It's like Wolverine, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Woman, Luke Cage. I think that's it. And Luke Cage. And it's just a great team, and it's just like those are the stories that basically made Marvel. Because they have like Secret Invasion, Civil War, and all that stuff. All those very popular stories that they've adapted 100 times. So yeah, the New Avengers run's pretty awesome. Also, Daredevil is another one of my favorite characters. So his run by Mark Waid is one of my favorites. Because it's actually a lot more lighthearted Daredevil run. Because Daredevil, I think, actually is the one character in comics that has consistently had the like he never went down in quality, writer to writer and story to story. He's only been consistently great. But with Mark Waid, because every other writer likes just getting him in a lower and lower point with and like just destroying Matt Murdock's life.
Yeah.
But with Mark Waid, he gave him a more lighthearted spin, and I really like that. But there was still like seriousness and everything. Like Foggy Nelson got cancer during it, and that was a whole great arc. But like, yeah, it gave him just a different perspective of Daredevil, which I really like. Which I think we saw kind of in the She-Hulk episode with Daredevil. That was what it reminded me of, and I really like that. Like Daredevil doesn't have to be so dark and serious all the time, because Matt Murdock is also like kind of honestly like a more lighthearted person, and he internalizes all of this stuff really, and then tries to like be optimistic about it. At least in that run he did. Sometimes he comes crashing down, but yeah, Daredevil's pretty good.
And he has the best superhero show as well.
Oh, absolutely.
His Netflix show, which is just incredible, that I know is coming back on Disney Plus. Will it be same level quality? We will see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite superhero media. It is Daredevil, and it's interesting because he kind of does, now that I'm thinking about it, contrasts Batman and Spider-Man very well. He's like a combo of them in a lot of ways, where he's like a very Peter Parker-y optimism. I know him and Spider-Man are boys.
Oh yeah, they're boys
in comics, and sort of have a similar look, but he's kind of like Batman because he's, you know,
very brooding.
He always got the tough fits on. Takes on, you know, rich crime bosses and all that. So like he's very much like a cross blend between the two of them, but very much his own character, like being a lawyer and all that. I
don't like how people call him like Marvel's Batman, because he's a lot really. He's a lot different than that. A lot like there's a lot more to Matt Murdock than that. Or actually, I think they kind of called Moon Knight Marvel's Batman, but Moon Knight's also a whole different,
very different,
different story.
Yeah,
like he's nothing like Batman. That man's crazy.
Yeah.
No, actually, Jen McKay's Moon Knight run's another one I'd recommend for you people watching if you want to read comic books.
Exactly.
Jen McKay's Moon Knight run's going on right now, I think, and I'm keeping up with it as much as I can. And it's some good stuff. It takes them to a nice place, which I would like to see them put into like shows or movies or something if we ever get more Moon Knight content from Marvel.
Very much so. Who's your favorite character in The Boys?
Should I say the Deep? That's a good question. I think like it's just because Homelander is like the most fun to watch. Like every time he's on screen, I love it. But also, like it feels basic to say Homelander and Butcher, but like they are the most fun people to watch.
Yeah.
And that's why the show is so popular, because of those two. But also, I mean, the deep, it's just so funny.
Yeah, he's so pathetic.
He's so pathetic. And that's why I don't like when people compare me to him. Because I'm like,
I'm compared to Homelander. he's worse than everybody else on that show. Yeah, like, so, but contrary to what people would think.
Yeah.
The way I look. Actually, I would say Soldier Boy is my favorite.
Oh, that's a good pick. I forgot about him.
Like, he's one of those characters you throw into a show, similar like I don't know if you've ever seen Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Lalo Salamanca.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you throw him into the show and immediately the energy goes up the spark. Like, Soldier Boy, at least for my viewing of season 3, kind of carried the season for me.
Yeah.
I feel like he entered the show and just kind of stole it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no. Like, over the summer, we had my friends from high school and I, we had a friend who was watching The Boys for the first time, so sometimes like we would watch it with them, and like I watched a couple episodes of season 3 with them, and I'm like, wow, like Soldier Boy really really elevates this show to a new level.
Yeah, buddy, you think you look strong? That was so tough when he was squaring up with Homelander.
Yeah,
and then he's like very complex in his own right as this like play on Captain America. But I do very much agree with what you're saying, that Homelander and Butcher are by far the most developed characters psychologically, especially Homelander. He's so Freudian.
Yeah.
And the way that he acts,
yeah.
It's so fascinating, and he's just so horrible. So it's like that definitely the best evil Superman, which has been very overdone.
Oh yeah.
But he works for it.
I'm so happy we're getting like actual Superman movie, like with an actual like. James Gunn, I think, I trust James Gunn everything he ever does, because he has never missed, for me at least. I know, I guess this might be controversial. I guess some people don't really like him from what I've seen, but I love everything he does, and I trust him implicitly, and I'm happy that he's doing this take on Superman. That's like good. Yeah. People don't like everything, but I think it's interesting because James Gunn makes a lot of movies about like weirdos. Yeah. So it's interesting that he's doing Superman. Yeah, this is like I think the first like kind of mainstream kind of character he's tackling, which is really interesting. And I think he knows it. I think he got the sauce. Yeah, he's gonna get lost in it. I wonder how. Yeah, exactly. I wonder how he'll embrace Superman in that way. If he'll really go to the roots of the character like people want, or if he'll infuse his like interesting side characters with Superman. Yeah. So that's why I'm really interested to see him tackle DC. But now to get it back into the real world. Oh, let's go. I would like to ask you, like, what drew you to Q30 and made you want to become entertainment director? I have to owe a lot of my Q30 time to Aaron Epstein because, so my freshman year of college, I tried to get involved in Q30 because I heard about it at like the engagement fair, so I signed up for it. And then I went to the Student Media Summit thing, which was like kind of like an engagement thing for Q30 where you kind of learn about everything. I actually got really drawn to hashtag that at that place. But I had a class during hashtag, so I kind of like fell off. Like I like because I didn't really know about Q tonight that well. I know Aaron was in it, and I was friends with Aaron, so I knew he was in it, and I went to like a few shows, but it was nothing that like that really like I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do hashtag, but I had a class, so like I kind of just never went back to it during that whole year. Even during the second semester when I probably could have, like I was scared because like I'm not very confident in my own abilities, which is a problem I have. But you should be confident. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I don't know. It's just I'm very critical of myself, which I'm sure like pretty much everybody is. But I always think like I'm not good enough. But you know, well, that's fine. Whatever. So then when sophomore year comes around, Aaron's like, "Hey, I'm the executive producer of Quinnipiac Tonight. You should come." And he was like telling me over and over again to go. So I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'll go because you're my friend." So I went to Quinnipiac Tonight, and yeah. So like those first like probably a month or two, honestly, I was pretty quiet in Quinnipiac Tonight. Like I was just kind of in the background. I went to Alex Bean's shoots to help him because he was my friend also. I did what Jeff did. So yeah, for those first few months, I just kind of like just did my job in Quinnipiac Tonight. And then when AP applications came out, Aaron was one who pushed me to do it because again, I wasn't really like confident in myself to do it. So Aaron kept begging me to do it, so I applied and I got it, and I loved being in Quinnipiac in the AP. Like you're one now, and you were one last semester too. I love it a lot. I do miss it, because I just like making stuff, and I actually, it kind of helped me be more proud of my stuff, because I liked how most of it turned out. So then, like, an entertainment director again was Aaron Epstein pushing me to apply. Because it wasn't even on my radar, entertainment director. And then when applications went out, I think I like probably made a joke about it, like, hey, what if I do it?
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, like, go for it. And then I did, and I'm enjoying entertainment. It's so much different than being in Quinnipiac in the AP. But different in a good way. Like because with being an entertainment director now, I'm more involved with hashtag, which was something I wanted to do 2 years ago. So that's been really cool and really fun to see that side of the show. Shout out Liam Quinnipiac, or hashtag that AP.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've loved being more involved with the station as my time in it has gone on.
That's exactly what friends do. The friends pushed you into Q30, and then you worked with your friends.
Yeah.
And you kind of worked your way up the ranks, and you didn't think you would. And I think that's very poignant. You talk about kind of that self-doubt. That's something I experienced a lot too. Like, I second guess myself.
Yeah.
With like everything I do. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah, that's the way things go, and I think that's very profound that you found your way to entertainment director. You have a very Ryan Agnello presence to you as well, so it was a very fitting transition.
Yeah.
Of course, he was episode 3 guest on here and has TD'd a lot of episodes. But now we're talking about what you're doing right now, but I want to talk about something you're interested in doing in the future, which is you wanting to go to QU in LA and what you want to accomplish there.
Yeah. QU in LA has been something that's been on my radar since I went to an open house for Quinnipiac before I think I even got accepted. Before I even before I confirmed I was going. So it was one of like the main talking points at like one of these mid students day open houses, whatever. And I was like, that's a great opportunity. Like, it's it's the film major life, like going to LA. Like, I mean, you can attest to this.
Exactly.
Obviously, I'm sure you've talked about this on the podcast before.
Oh, so many times.
I mean, you've been in LA on the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's just like that. Like that. I mean, that's like the dream, to like go to LA and like do this stuff. So yeah, I mean, I just want to work there and like get connections and all that. Just learn, like, kind of get that hands-on physical experience, like what the life is actually like. Because being in school and like doing all this and like studying it and all that and like doing like the Q30 work, which has, I think, prepared me a lot more than my classes have, honestly. But yeah, I just want to actually be there and see where it takes me.
Yeah, I very much can attest.
Yeah.
That how cool QU in LA was, and I would very much say that my experience in Q30 helped me. Definitely gives you the resume.
Yes.
Because Q30 is a resume booster and a half.
Oh yeah.
So it was like being involved in QFS and doing this too. If you want to do your comics podcast, showing people you can do something consistently is very, very vital. And of course, the Hollywood Zicast became real. It gave me aura being over there, I would say, if you can say you have aura.
I mean, you came back looking like Billy Butcher.
I did, exactly. Oi. So very, very much so. And also, like, yeah, Q in LA was something that drew me to Quinnipiac as well. Like, one of my better friends goes to Sacred Heart, and I was planning on going there when I was transferring. And I looked at something, and I saw Q in LA, and I'm like, something just sparked in me. And I'm like, maybe this is a great option for me. And that's where my legacy began.
Wow. Q in LA gave us the Zicast.
Exactly.
It all came full circle, because then you went there and you did the Hollywood. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that something? That's the first time I've talked about that on here, which is interesting. But yeah, Q in LA was really the thing that pushed me to go to Quinnipiac. And
that's awesome.
The kind of domino effect that happened following that is very, very interesting.
Quinnipiac has a lot of great opportunities it gives to the communication students. Like 3+1 is a crazy program.
Yeah.
And yeah, also like Q in LA and just all the opportunities they provide. And it's been like, honestly, Quinnipiac wasn't like something on my even like list for like film schools. Like, I applied to like Emerson and like these kind of places. And yeah, no, I don't regret it at all. Very
much so. Do you have any questions about going to Q in LA?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Do I have any questions?
Very boomerang question.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But what I will tell you is that obviously financially, and Liam was there too.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned that. Yeah,
Ooh.
Liam was there too,
Nice.
and did some really cool stuff.
That's cool.
Financially, it could be really tough,
Yeah.
as you may suspect. But if you can figure out a way to go, it's so special. Like Andres is incredible,
Yeah.
and you'll be out there with your friends, and just doing really cool things, getting to go to really cool places. Like no matter what, you'll be going to really cool places. You'll learn so much about yourself. You'll maybe have to take public transportation. that will teach you a lot about yourself. And I know, knowing you'll end up in the right place, doing the right things, and it'll be really special if you're able to do all that.
Ryan.
That's the PSA from the Zicast about Q in LA.
Biggest Q in LA enthusiast.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like I was talking to Grace Parisi the other night because she was back in Hamden, and she was like, LA's a sham for everyone but Ryan Zayaks. And not that my experience in LA was perfect all the time, but it was so special.
A lot of it is seeing like you and like my friends like go to LA and like having like this great time. Like I follow the Q in LA Instagram. I see what you guys are up to. It's just something I really want to experience, because it's like, when else am I gonna get the chance to do that?
Very much so, yeah. And college is all about, like with Q30, it's all about trying things. It's all about doing new things and really putting yourself out there. And we only have one shot to do all of these things. That's why I do like 4 Zycasts a week, because I only have so much time. Until
you're 90.
Until I'm 90. Exactly. That's a great comic book, Paul.
Oh yeah.
That's great. So yeah, that's why it's just taking advantage of the kind of ticking clocks we have. Yeah. And now moving into some personal questions. I kind of already asked you some, but what are some things that people may not know about you, like fun facts?
I'm gonna sound like such a dork with this, even more than I already do. I've gone on a spree of collecting figurines. One could say toys, even. It started with Transformers. I bought like an Optimus Prime toy. I saw it at Target and bought them. I'm like, I need more. So I rounded out my Autobots and my Decepticons.
Roll out.
Exactly. And then more recently, because it's just really cool to look at. I've been buying Marvel Legends. These are all by Hasbro. They're like little, like these 6-inch like toys. And it just makes me happy to see, like, I have a Spider-Man toy and I have the X-Men. And I line them up on my bookshelf at home with like my comic books. So it's like I have a Spider-Man shelf, so I have my Spider-Man toys on there. I have my X-Men shelf, so I have my X-Men toys on there. And it's cool. I'm like not a loser, I promise.
No one thinks that. They better not think that. So that's interesting. Do you think you'll be like a collector in the future? Like, do you think you'd like seek out, maybe have a bit more money, like to seek those things?
Well, that's the problem. When it comes with comic books and with these toys, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
It's a hobby. Like I stopped with Transformers to go to Marvel Legends, because I can't do both. Like that's just I can't financially. So yeah, I mean, I would love to, like, because you see on like TikTok and stuff, like these people who have like these basements filled with like all this shelves of stuff, of toys and like stuff. I mean, I think that's really cool. Like I would love to. Yeah.
Speaking of, I really feel like you should kind of become a comic book. I don't know if influencer is the right word, but someone who speaks about that, because I feel like you'd be a great voice for that, because you clearly do care about it, like through and through the whole process of being a fan and an enthusiast.
An enthusiast, if you will.
Exactly, if you will.
Yeah.
And kind of moving forward, it's like, what are some of your hopes and dreams professionally or in general?
That's good. I mean, being a film major, like I want to work in the industry. Obviously, I haven't really narrowed down what exactly like my role would be yet in that. Whether like director, producing, writing, I don't really know. Still find my footing on that, but like it's I know it's what I want to do in whatever avenue that takes me. My dream, I actually came to me in a dream.
It came to you in a dream.
It came to me in a dream. You know Plants vs Zombies?
Yes.
Yeah. You know the Garden Warfare, the game, Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare game that came out? Yeah. So I just had a dream one night. It was a Plants vs Zombies movie in the style of Garden Warfare, with the vibe of the Umbara arc of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh my goodness.
It came to me in a dream. And if that's something I gotta make, because I have so many ideas for it, that'd be so cool.
So JJ Tafuto will be entering the film industry.
That is my passion project.
That is your passion project.
A Plants vs Zombies movie.
Studios be warned.
Yeah, but like
He's
also,
yeah.
So then also like I'd love to work in Transformers or something because I wanna do that. Like I think I could bring a lot to Transformers. I hate how I sound right
No,
now.
you sound great.
Yeah, but like honestly, what I've learned, I've learned this kind of recently is I kind of want to be in comic books.
You
like,
should, yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with comic books, I think it's harder to get into than film.
Really?
Yeah, especially in the big two. Like they're very exclusive, and you gotta like really like you gotta work hard to even get in that door. So if I could like do film, like make a name for myself, and then I could use that to get in the door in comic books. Like Iman Vellani did that with acting as Miss Marvel. She wrote her own comic for Miss Marvel. If I can,
Paul Dano was a Riddler.
Paul Dano wrote one for the Riddler. J.J. Abrams wrote one for Spider-Man, but that's what that was.
He's done a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, he does
Star Wars.
Yeah,
and
Star
Trek. Yeah,
he does a lot. So yeah, if I can get in the door in comic books and just be involved in that, also, I don't even know what I would do in comic books honestly, because I feel like these are characters who I love so much, and if I touched them and did it badly, like that would break my heart. Like I don't think I can like forgive myself for that. So maybe I'll just have to like give myself a character who like maybe I don't care much about or don't know much about, or maybe it's not a very popular character. Like give me like one of the X-Men like that just want us like to give him a solo series.
Building up a lesser known character, that could be a feat.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have a strong understanding of the characters you like.
Yeah.
I feel like you could bring something different to the table. I feel like as long as you understand the core of a character, you can do different things with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes with adaptations, I feel like a lot of creatives can forget what makes certain characters special.
Yeah, they kind of just they ignore that stuff, Like they kind of like, I'm doing it my way, and they're ignoring like the pathos that came before.
Exactly. Like, and this very much is apparent in like a lot of Batman adaptations. We've gotten some great ones. With some other ones, he like kills people, which is like,
or even Superman,
which is something I'll never be able to wrap my head around. But yeah, very much so. I feel like I can very much see you in the comic book world, like as a creative in that sense. Yeah. I think that would be very suitable. And I feel like this leads us perfectly into the next topic, which are some of your favorite movies.
Ooh. Oh, man. Let me think of what my Letterboxd top 4 is. Like Lord of the Rings Return of the King is probably my favorite movie ever, if not one of them. It's hard to rank them,
Exactly.
But yeah, Return of the King is one of my favorites just because like I'm sure people have have known that, kind of gotten the idea that I like franchises a lot just because of like how much time you spend with these characters and how much time you're able to build up that stuff. Like, they're not all roller coaster rides. like they're I just like how they're, especially, and that's probably with comic books too. Like they are these things that have been around for so long, and you basically know these characters through all this time. And that's what I really like about them. So with Return of the King, it's like the culmination of all of this history and all these characters just coming together. And I like endings a lot. Like I one of my favorite parts of movies is endings for some reason, like how they wrap it all up. And Return of the King gets flack for having like 6 different endings, but I like seeing what happened to everybody after the main movie happens. So that was so Return of the King is one of my favorites. Also, there's like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, just because I like Edgar Wright a lot in his style of filmmaking. I think he's another one that kind of inspired me to go down this path, with like his editing, how he cuts the music, also just how snappy his jokes are. I like Edgar Wright a lot.
I like British humor.
Yeah, exactly. Transformers. I don't want to call it a guilty pleasure because I'm not guilty about it at all, but it's like this just a movie that like people don't really regard very well.
I mean, they go hard. Those Michael Bay movies are kind of tough.
Those first 3 are awesome, but yeah, the first Transformers Michael Bay movie that came out in 2007 is like one of my favorite movies ever, just because I think it's a movie that brought me into Transformers. I want to say I don't think I got through any other media, but yeah, that's the movie that I watched over and over again as a kid. I love that so much. Like CGI still holds up today, by the way.
They are very good. You could say anyone could say whatever they want about those movies, but the visually it looks better than movies today.
Yeah, no, it's like it's awesome.
Kind of like, I don't mean to sidetrack.
Yeah.
Like the OG Iron Man movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like those suits looked better than the suits he had in like Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh,
That's something
my
that'll
God.
never, like, I'll never be able to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
I understand that the whole thing with VFX artists and being overworked, but I just can never understand like how can it look better over a decade earlier.
I know. I completely agree. I've been actually rewatching the Marvel movies recently. First time I've done that in a while. And like going through like Iron Man, like the suits from like Iron Man up to like Age of Ultron, they look so good. Like they look like suits of armor that he like would like somebody could possibly wear.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, I guess they use like nanotech or whatever as like the excuse or whatever.
It just looks fake.
Yeah, it looks fake.
Like lifeless, yeah.
Like you could see like the hard like surfaces and like the light reflecting off of it and everything. It's so cool. And he looks like an alien now, you know?
Yeah. Not very much interesting. Yeah.
But you can even Pirates of the Caribbean with Davy Jones, which came out around that time also.
Yeah.
Like he
Perfect.
looks like the best CGI thing ever.
Yeah.
Like slightly human but also not. Like incredible.
What are some of your other favorite movies that kind of got you sidetracked there?
Oh yeah, right. Everything Everywhere All at Once, which it's very popular, obviously. Won Best Picture and all that.
Yeah.
But I saw that in theaters during the re-release of it because it came out in theaters and everything, and the whole buzz about it. I never saw it, and then it came back over the summer, like before I got Best Picture, like for like a couple days I think, and I told all my friends from high school, guys, can you please see this with me? Like I really want to see this.
Yeah.
And that movie, I love it so much. Like it. Somebody told me, probably like a year or two ago, I think, that like I remind them of Wayman Wang, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
see
God.
that.
That's like the best thing ever. That's like a great compliment. Thank you. So yeah, like that movie is just something that like touched me a lot. Like honestly, like probably changed a lot of my outlook on life. Yeah, and that's what I love about movies. It's what they do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's better than reality.
Exactly. Yeah. So Everything Everywhere is something that just really, really impacts me, and I think I cry probably every time I watch it. Honestly.
Because even Everything Everywhere, it has that kind of like fantastical sensibility.
And I just love movies that like are all like they have like they're about like they show cynicism and all that, and it's like these negativity, but then they show how the optimism and positivity rises above it, and it's my favorite thing.
What's that trendy? The
indomitable human spirit. Yeah, exactly. That's why I love Spider-Man. He is like an Optimus Prime. It's like, even though he's like a robot, but it's like the indomitable human spirit, and that's what I love so much about just characters and like these stories that they in Lord of the Rings. It's about like sorry, got excited. It's about like
he's getting riled up.
Yeah, it's about just this like bare bones, like good and evil, and it's like how these two hobbits, like these like almost unlikely people who are just full of good, that like may not be the strongest or anything, but they have the most heart, and they are able to just by sheer like will and friendship and love, they save the world from literal evil, you know?
Yeah. Frodo Baggins.
Like, I can't carry this burden for you, but I can carry you. Like,
oh
yeah.
I need that.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. I like how riled up it got. It's like Optimus Prime just gave you his speech.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let them come.
Yeah.
And overall, JJ, I would just like to thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you for
this
having
talk
me.
was so much fun. And would you like to share anything before we wrap up here? Like any parting words, anything to tell the audience?
Oh, man.
Anything to plug or anything?
Follow me on Letterboxd. I can't remember the name right now, but it's probably JJ Tafuto, or it might be J__.
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, as I've just, it's gonna be cheesy, but like as I've just been saying this whole time, like positivity and optimism is really fun, and you guys should embrace it more, because I think especially during our age, like where we are now, people like being cynical, to like kind of just be like, yeah, no, nothing matters, like,
yeah,
woo, but like everything matters.
It is that deep.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to the deep.
No.
But yeah, but very much JJ. Always love hanging around with you. Always appreciate the calm presence. Remember sometimes like we'd be in the media suite and I'd be practically like following you around because I need more JJ Tafuto in my life. And this was a very fun episode, and I love of everyone's story, because of course everyone has a story. I was really interested in hearing yours, because you're so quiet, and I wanted to see how much I could get you to share on here. And
Did I do good?
You did amazing.
Thank you.
And I learned so much, and I really appreciated it. So thank you so much, JJ.
Thank you, Ryan.
And as always, this is Ryan Ziax of the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.